Hello and welcome to the show. I am Tophat. It's been some years since I've last reviewed a South Park episode. I've been meaning to do another one, but for various reasons I haven't. Since this is October, I decided to review my personal favorite Halloween episode from the show, The Scoots. So without further ado, let's begin. The episode starts off with an older Kenny narrating about how October is his favorite month. The reason? It's the time when everyone embraces the weird and the scary. He also says that this Halloween will be different and that it will change their lives forever. We then see Mr. Mackey trip over an e-scooter after leaving his house. He asks one of his neighbors where did it come from, only to be told that nobody knows. Wow! Parker and Stone actually remember that there are other adult characters besides Randy. That's amazing! Okay, I might as well get this out of the way now. I do think Randy is a funny character, but at the same time, he is highly overrated. There really isn't much to him. He's just a selfish jerk who's obsessed with his weed farm. In small doses, he can be pretty funny. Problem is, Parker and Stone have made him the face of South Park. Whenever an episode is about Randy, it feels like Parker and Stone are only writing for him and completely ignore the other characters who are way more nuanced and interesting than Randy ever was. I always thought he was better as a side character than when he was the main focus. Even the best episodes about Randy usually have the other characters help balance it out. Thankfully, in recent seasons, they've downplayed him. But for a while, South Park was the Randy show. Honestly, I don't really understand his appeal. Yeah, he's funny and whatnot, but I always found the kids more interesting. And a lot of the other adult characters are way more interesting than Randy ever was. Like Mr. Mackey, for instance. The episode shows Mr. Mackey trying to go about his day, only he keeps running into the e-scooters. He doesn't understand why they are everywhere, nor does he get the appeal. Mr. Mackey goes into a candy store to buy some candy for Halloween. He asks the owner about the e-scooters, only to be told that no one knows where they came from, but they are convenient. Mr. Mackey feels that people should just use their cars. We see a lot of people on those scooters run into Mr. Mackey's car. One of them even damaged his car. He is so annoyed with them that one night he takes all the e-scooters and dumps them off a cliff, only for all of them to come back the next morning. I honestly feel bad for Mr. Mackey. He's just trying to go about his day, only for those e-scooters to get in his way. Anyway, it's time to talk about the kids. Unlike Mr. Mackey, they are excited about the e-scooters. Cartman comes up with the idea that he, Kyle, Stan, and Kenny use the e-scooters to go trick-or-treating. That way, they can get more candy than everyone else. Only problem is that e-scooters only work if you have a smartphone. Since he is poor, Kenny doesn't have one, meaning he can't use the e-scooter. Kyle assures Kenny that they'll find a way to work something out so he can trick-or-treat with them. South Park can have pretty heartwarming moments from time to time, despite the satirical nature of the show. This is actually one of those moments. Unfortunately, this is short-lived. For later, after Kenny buys his Halloween pail, he is informed by the others that he can't go trick-or-treating with them. They decided that since he can't use an e-scooter, he'll only slow them down. Stan and Kyle try to let him down gently, but Cartman has to remind Kenny that this is only because he is so poor and that he should have done something to not be poor, as if it's his fault that his family is poor. Cartman seems to forget that, after Kenny, he is the poorest kid in school. Plus, in the end, Kenny gets the last laugh. He ends up a millionaire, while Cartman ends up homeless. The early seasons of South Park made Kenny being poor a huge joke. All the kids would tease him about it, including Stan and Kyle. Nowadays, it's only Cartman who teases him about it, though maybe not as much in the last few seasons, when he had to live in a hot dog. It was almost like he understood what it's like to be poor. I like the fact that the other kids really don't make fun of Kenny for being poor like they used to. Don't get me wrong, it was funny at first, but it got old after a while. Like when they used to try to kill Kenny in every episode. The joke was bound to get old. Also, after a while, it felt kind of odd that certain characters, like Kyle, would even make fun of Kenny for being poor. A lot of modern South Park episodes would use Kenny being poor as a way to make him sympathetic. This episode being a great example. Kenny goes to different friend groups in the hopes that they'd let him trick-or-treat with them. Turns out, everyone has the same idea, meaning that nobody wants Kenny to trick-or-treat with them, since he doesn't have a smartphone. Meanwhile, at a town meeting, it's announced that everyone will be using e-scooters on Halloween, meaning that the trick-or-treaters will be covering more ground than ever. Because of this, everyone has to have $6,000 worth of candy on hand to prevent their houses from getting egged. Naturally, this causes everyone to panic. I always love it when South Park characters panic. They go so over the top, yet, surprisingly, it's portrayed pretty accurately how some people act. Mr. Mackey tries to buy more candy, only to find the stores are all out. As he is trying to divide the candy he does have, Kenny shows up to his office. He tells Mr. Mackey how none of the kids want to trick-or-treat with him because he can't use the e-scooters. Mr. Mackey is a little too preoccupied with the coming disaster to care. Then he learns from Kenny that you can only use the e-scooters with a smartphone. This inspires Mr. Mackey to team up with Kenny to take down the cell phone tower. It surprised me how well Mr. Mackey and Kenny work together. They make such a great team. Mr. Mackey even tells Kenny he always thought he was a good kid. There is some meta humor on how Parker and Stone often ignore Kenny. I'm a little surprised they haven't tried to write more episodes featuring Kenny and Mr. Mackey together. I'm still a little surprised they haven't done more with Kenny and Butters as a team. Then again, Kenny is one of my favorite characters, so seeing more of him in general would make me pretty happy. Kenny and Mr. Mackey succeed in their mission. Mr. Mackey offers counseling to the people of South Park after the chaos, while Kenny and his friends enjoy some trick-or-treating. As I said in the beginning, The Scoots is one of my personal favorite episodes. I love how it focuses on Kenny, a character who often gets ignored. Mr. Mackey is another character who often gets ignored, so it was nice to see him too. The two of them work very well together. I hate to bring this up again, but I found them more relatable than Randy. Their struggles of being left out, or not understanding the trend, are things anyone can relate to. They are also capable of showing compassion towards other people. Randy is just a dumb, selfish jerk. I'm glad he doesn't play a big role in this episode. I also like how there really isn't anything political in this episode. I don't mind the politics as much as some fans do, but it's nice when they just allow the characters to have a silly adventure. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya later.